Okay, next one, and I've got my son right here, but he's not allowed on because he's too young, but he challenges that. He thinks, no, he should be allowed. Do you think he should be allowed? What's the law?
I should, but I'm not going to.
Good. I think you shouldn't. All right, so, well, I'm thinking about what he learned at school yesterday, and I think you were talking about the Jews in Israel and all the people in history who have taken over the Holy Land, and you were very pleased, I think, to discover that Alexander was one of those people. Took the Holy Land. What did you think of that?
But they made Greece sound like the bad guy.
Oh, that's crazy stuff.
But
Yeah.
they said that they took over, but they say it in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
Greece was one of the best people in history.
I know. They would have done it in a very nice way. Yeah. I don't know what they're talking about in the Bible and all that sort of. Well, that bit wasn't in the Bible, was it? That was before the Bible, really. Well, it wasn't before the Bible.
Old Testament.
It was pretty much an Old Testament thing. What about, what's your reaction then with the Egyptians who took over the Holy Land, took over the, made Jews the slaves? What do you think of those guys compared to what the Greeks did? Because you've seen Prince of Egypt.
Yeah. They were more cruel.
They were more cruel than the Greeks, yep.
Though they were just trying to rule the land and take them into slavery,
Mm-hmm.
they still went a little bit further
With the whole slavery thing, really. The
Cruelty.
cruelty thing, yep.
cruelty when the Greeks didn't.
They didn't do the slavery
They
thing.
didn't do it. They just took it
Yeah.
because they wanted it.
Yeah.
When they were taking it and making it a land that's horrible.
So the Egyptians were turning the place a bit Egyptian, and the Greeks were turning it a bit Greek, and
But the Egyptians were just
that's a no-brainer.
They were just, for no reason, putting them into slavery. I know it helps them by building and growing.
They wanted to build some pyramids, and statues.
Still, they did it a lot more cruel
Yeah.
than Greece.
Yeah. All right. Babylon, they put the Jews into slavery as well. What do you think of that? Cruel as well, I think.
I've noticed a lot of them have put that land into slavery.
They have indeed. Yes. Yes. All right. Here's one. I think you know about the thing, the Passover, where God came down and killed the firstborn son. You're my firstborn son, you see, of every Egyptian family. Thoughts? Deserved it?
Including the Pharaoh.
Even the Pharaoh's son, yep.
I
don't know which one it was. I think it was Amenhotep or whatever his name was. Anyway, whatever his name was, killed them all. Thoughts on that? Reasonable punishment for what the Egyptians did to the Jews, or I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I never did anything to the Jews, or else you'd be toast. They'd knock you off.
And also,
How would you feel about that?
That was how many thousands of years ago?
Yeah, good point. That would be 2,000, 3,000, 2,800. It was a long time ago, maybe 2,600. I don't know when it was. Yeah. Does it matter if it's a long time ago?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't do it now.
Where was Cleopatra?
Oh, she would have been in just before Jesus was born. She was Greek,
Yeah.
but a lot of Egyptians say she was Egyptian, and a lot of Africans say she was African.
I can see Egyptian, but I can't see African.
Well, a lot of Africans think that Egypt was populated with African. The Egyptians were Africans, that they had, they were African, but the Egyptians.
She was clearly Greek.
Well, yeah, did you meet her? She was a descendant of one of Alexander's generals, Ptolemy. She was a Ptolemy, but yeah. All right. Cleopatra. Yeah, but look, I've seen Egyptians arguing against Africans actually. Hey, she now was it suicide or something? It all went pear-shaped because her lover, which is Mark Antony, they had to escape from Augustus Caesar, and he was Julius Caesar's son, adopted son, and he sort of started the Roman Empire, and they had to run, and but all was lost. Augustus Caesar was too powerful, and all was lost for her. Yeah.
So what did she do?
I think she can, I remember legend has it there was an asp involved, was there? A snake? I'm a bit sketchy on all of that.
She did it bite her?
Yeah, I think so.
Did she? What type of snake?
Asp. I don't even know what an asp is.
Are they venomous?
Oh, they'd have to be, wouldn't they?
No, like how venomous?
Pretty venomous. Enough to kill a queen. But what we do get is, now there's no real argument between Greeks and others about whether Cleopatra was a Greek or not, and all that sort of stuff. The real argument you see is between Africans and Egyptians in the modern world, arguing whether Egyptians were Egyptians or whether they were Africans. And that is a really hot debate. What do you think? Were Egyptians Egyptians, or were they Africans? Or are Egyptians and Africans the same thing?
I think Egyptians and Africans are not even close to the same thing.
That's what Egyptians say.
I don't think that.
But then Africans, if Egyptians do say that, they tell the Egyptians that they should get back on their camels and go back to Saudi Arabia.
How did Augustus Caesar?
How did he fit in?
How did he die?
Augustus Caesar. Now, he lived a long life. I can't remember how he died. I reckon he died of just natural causes. Alexander, he got poisoned probably.
Yeah.
He was hard to kill.
Yeah.
But Alexander, Augustus Caesar, he lived a long time. Long rule. He was the first Roman emperor, although he didn't call himself an emperor. He wasn't an emperor really, technically. He was called the first man in Rome because they were going for this sort of slightly Greek thing.
Cleopatra and Augustus Caesar, did they die? What age did Cleopatra die? What tent?
Now I reckon she had a baby. She had Julius Caesar's baby. Now it's a long story, but Julius Caesar and Cleopatra had a love affair, and they had a son.
Wait, what?
They had a son together, Cleopatra and Julius Caesar. That's a Roman and a Greek, or an Egyptian or an African, depending on who you are. Now, they had a son, and you would think that son would be the next emperor, the first emperor of Rome.
Yeah.
After Julius Caesar, but it didn't happen that way because Julius Caesar made Augustus Caesar, who had a different name then, Octavian, I think it was, and he had a different name, Octavian, and he made him he adopted him. And he said, but when Romans adopt someone, they adopt very seriously. Like they don't call you my adopted son. In ancient Rome, they used to say, if I adopt you, you're my son.
What was Cleopatra's lover named?
Julius Caesar. Oh, yes, but after Julius Caesar got killed, he got killed. Yeah, Julius Caesar got killed by all the senators in Rome because he was starting to act like a king, and Romans...
So she was cooked as Joan of Arc.
She was cooked like Joan of Arc, yes, but not cooked. I think she was bitten by a snake, but I'd have to look that one up. Yeah, toast. She was toast.
She was toast.
Yeah. And then what happened then was Mark Antony was one of Julius Caesar's generals. He was his friend, and he roared into Rome to avenge Julius Caesar's death. And so he was going to take over,
You don't usually say avenge Julius' death, you say avenge Julius Caesar.
Or he was going to just avenge him, yes. A good point, yeah. All right, so, one thing led to another, and he hooked up with Cleopatra, and he became Cleopatra's lover, and vice versa. But they didn't have a son together. But there was still Julius Caesar's son. And then what happened was, when Julius Caesar got knocked off, he was acting like a king, so they had to knock him off. And then Augustus Caesar, he said, I'm taking over now in place of Julius Caesar because I am his son. But Cleopatra had Julius Caesar's real son, blood son.
Okay.
But Octavian, which was, the other one, the adopted son, he said, no, I'm going to be Julius Caesar's son. And I'm going to go even further than that. I'm going to declare Julius Caesar a god. So he called Julius Caesar a god. Why do you think he did that? Because then he became the son of God. See how clever that was?
Wait, I need a moment to process this.
Process that.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
It's a way of becoming son of God, You got that on your computer? No errors? All right. So then he said, I'm going to bring back Rome to its glory. But he said, I'm not going to be a dictator. I'm not going to be an emperor. Just for a little bit. I'll be a little bit dictatorish just until we get things right again. But then he stayed that way for the rest of his life. And then I'm pretty sure he had the other son killed.
Okay.
Cleopatra's son.
Very cool.
Yes, but first he went to attack Mark Antony came to attack him, right? Just came. Mark Antony, he was a great soldier actually. He came roaring into Rome with his legion or whatever, and his idea was to come in and sort things out and get them back to the way Julius Caesar had them. Okay, but then you processing that in your brain.
Yes.
Yes. But then Augustus Caesar had already decided he was going to take over. So we've got two people both want to be in charge. One of them has to go. So, but what Mark Antony did was he hooked up with Cleopatra and fell in love with her, and he started spending a lot of time in Egypt. He went to Egypt. Okay? And he wouldn't come. He wasn't coming back to Rome. So then one thing led to another, and Mark Antony sent, Augustus Caesar sent ships after him, and they all ended up dying, and Augustus Caesar was the only one left. And then I think they killed the son. Or maybe one of the Egyptians killed the son to make Augustus Caesar happy. I don't know. It went on and on and on. And that's how it went. That's the story of Cleopatra, who was an African. Or an Egyptian.
An Egyptian.
Or a Greek.
An Egyptian or Greek, definitely not African.
Never join Twitter.